there are a couple other trades that, which would have been huge deals if it weren't for the gigantic Harden Simmons trade that I wanted to talk about. So Dallas, the Mavericks moved off of Porzingis, and
that gigantic contract. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go back and forth. When I initially saw it, I was like, okay, that's something, because let's face it, they were just dumping Porzingis' contract. That's what was happening. They got Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, and those guys have been pretty disappointing this year. So I get what Dallas was doing. Was that really the best way to do that? I don't know, because they're stuck with these guys for this season, and they won't have any flexibility until 23-24. So,
okay.
So the rest of this season and next season, they're pretty much stuck with this. It does give them a little more flexibility because it's easier to trade one player that's on two players that make $18 million a year than trade one player who makes 36.
Yeah.
It's a little easier, so it gives them, hopefully some more flexibility. But this is the first of what I think are going to be many moves for them. But it's like, you almost would have been better off just dumping Porzingis for a couple of expiring contracts, and then you have cap space and you can kind of do what you want. So it's not a bad move. I don't know if it's the best move, but I really wanted that to work out. I just think Porzingis is just a different guy now. The injuries have changed him into a different player. But it's, Dallas is on the clock, man. They've got to figure out in the next couple of years what they're going to do and get some better, get another guy for Luka. They're going to have to, figure something out with this roster. They have a solid team. They're going to make the playoffs, but, that was one of those things that was just,
everybody away.
Yeah, I had a lot of hope when they traded for him. I thought that was a hell of a trade when they got him. But man, it just did not work out.
They were looking for him to be a really dynamic player, and he hasn't been.
Yeah. So the Washington Wizards, they traded Dinwiddie, they traded Montrezl Harrell. So then their big move was to try to keep Bradley Beal, was to get Porzingis.
So, I guess.
I'm not sure what the hell. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. Like, they were acting like they were Portland. They're just dumping people, which is just kind of strange. It's just like, what is going on? So I'm not sure, and the same thing with, Portland, it's obvious what Portland's doing. They're selling off parts, to try, they're going to try to make their team better in the short term, but I have a feeling that, I wasn't thinking Bradley Beal was going to get traded before now, but, this is going to be a very interesting offseason from those teams' perspectives, because if I'm Bradley Beal, why would I stay on this team?
I don't know.
And
loyal to that organization, so
right, and Portland, Portland dumped McCollum. They traded, what was it? Not Covington. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're attempting to do. But yeah, that is so we'll see. We could have some other stars on the move. So yeah, none of the other trades really change anything as far as who's going to win the title. So
the Lakers didn't do anything, but we kind of figured there was going to be no way to move Russell Westbrook's contract.
Yeah. So yeah, the Lakers. That is they're really squandering it, because it's kind of funny. Like, I was lukewarm on the Russell Westbrook thing. I thought, okay, maybe this could work. But yeah, LeBron really, they had the formula there to win the championship. They knew what it was, and they just completely went away from it.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of weird, because they could have traded Harrell and Kuzma and gotten Buddy Hield, and improved their team. They really didn't need, I don't know why, for some reason they thought they had to just make some huge move. They really didn't have to. They had a championship team. They really didn't need to do anything. So it's just, it's very weird. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Lakers, because honestly, I think Russell Westbrook's been getting benched. I think he's going to get benched more and more. And honestly, what they should have done was just have Russell Westbrook come off the bench.
Yeah.
That would have been the best thing for their team. Have Westbrook out there against second units without other, LeBron and Davis out there, so he can just do his thing. And I think they just miscalculated this thing, and that may be it for them. We'll see.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I mean, I've been concerned that LeBron hasn't been able to really stay healthy. I mean, he came back after getting injured this year, and he's been insanely good. So, I don't want to totally close the book on it, but I mean, they got to get out from under this Russell Westbrook thing, and then they got to get some defense. I mean, they gave up Alex Caruso. It's like really good defensive player. He can hit threes. Like,
Yeah, it seems like they really made a whole bunch of mistakes in a row. I mean, honestly, what they should have done was made the trade for Buddy Hield, let Taylor Horton Tucker go, re-sign Alex Caruso for the money that you would have given to Horton Tucker. That's all they had to do. They really just had to do a couple of tweaks, and that's it. They did this complete overhaul.
Well, maybe that's because Rob Pelinka was an agent and he wasn't a GM, and this is the first 3 years that he's been a GM. So I don't know.
Yeah. So all right. So some bigger questions, about the NBA moving forward. So I really like the Eastern Conference. I think it's going to be fabulous in the playoffs because it's wide open. Yep. I still like Milwaukee. What do you think?
I mean, I guess so. Yeah. Because I just like Cleveland, like they've got a nice team, but they haven't really been there before. And Miami, again, they're going to play hard. They got a nice team. I just don't think they have enough. Like, I would hope that if they played Milwaukee again, they wouldn't get like completely swept out of the building like last year. Yeah, I mean, depending on a lot of this depends on what the seeding is and where they end up. Because like Miami, if they're the 1 seed, you're going to play a lower seeded team, then, maybe you probably get out of the first round. And then depending on the draw in the second round, you may have a good shot at getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. But it's just kind of when you don't have like Joel Embiid's an MVP candidate, Giannis has won 2 MVPs. James Harden has won an MVP. So it's just like, getting past those 2 teams is just, I don't know. I think it's probably between those 2 teams. And given the fact that Giannis has done it already and Milwaukee, it's not like Milwaukee's some like world beating team. They just play harder, when they need to. And Giannis comes up and then, Holiday will do enough on offense. He's always doing stuff on defense, and Middleton makes shots, and they probably, I guess I would probably make them the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, but I think a whole bunch of teams have a shot, and if somebody gets injured, the whole thing could change.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Philadelphia might have a better chance to win it next year than this year. I think they're going to have to really work some stuff out. But what's really funny about this is Brooklyn's in danger of ending up in the play-in situation.
Yeah.
So if Brooklyn were to get the 7th seed, okay, then they would have to play, and they would get the game. The first play-in game would be at home, which means Kyrie couldn't play. So they could play like Boston or Toronto or somebody like that in a play-in game and lose, and then they'd play the game at home and then lose. And then they'd have to play if they lose that game, they'd get to play another game still at home. So it would be better off for Brooklyn to get like the 10th seed, because then they get to play, Kyrie gets to play in the road games. And if they play Toronto, Kyrie can't play in either place.
Yeah.
So this could be, honestly, if there's one thing to be grateful for about Brooklyn is the high comedy that could happen out of this, because my goodness. It's like, I want to feel bad for Durant, but it's like, you did this to yourself.
What was it? It's like, what do you want me to say? Like,
just moronic. But what I wanted to say about, like, I was thinking this, after all the deals went down, like, if I'm Phoenix or Golden State, like, those teams are cruising to the top 2 seeds in the West. Like, if I'm either one of those teams, I'm like, let's just keep our guys healthy. If I'm Phoenix, if I need to give Chris Paul some games off in the next month or 2, let's do it, because I'm looking at the East going, we can beat everybody.
Yeah.
You know, Phoenix had Milwaukee down 2-0. Like, Phoenix, a couple things go different. Phoenix is the champion. So, to me, like, I thought, you know, when off season, I thought, well, Phoenix, that was a great run, but they probably won't be able to do that again. Like, if I'm Phoenix or Golden State,
I don't think anything of the Lakers. And then you look at the rest of it, the Clippers, well, they don't have Kawhi. The Jazz, you know, we feel like they have kind of a ceiling, you know, and then the rest of the teams, it's like Dallas, no, you know, Denver, no, they don't have Jamal Murray. Like, it's, you know, so yeah, those two teams, like, that's, to me, that's if they meet in the Western Conference Finals, that's that. I mean, you might be able to argue that's for the championship, but I mean, I think, you know, yeah, they should. They're in really good shape.
Yeah, if I'm either one of those teams, I'm looking at the East going, guys, let's just keep our heads down, keep going, make sure our guys are healthy. Don't be crazy, because they've got a decent cushion. I mean, that is a nice situation for both those teams. I thought going into the season, I wasn't really thinking Phoenix or Golden State could pull this off. They can. This is going to be, you know, the playoffs are going to be mighty interesting. So yeah, that's all our NBA talk. You know, man, that was I don't remember a trade deadline quite like this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, you know,